Good day, everyone. March the 28th, Government Operations Committee will come to order, please. Clerk, please take the roll.
Representatives Byrd, Calfee, Camper, Cochran, Dixie, Faison, Johnson, Lafferty, Lamberth, Littleton, Marsh, Stewart, Warner, Vice Chairman Reedy, Chairman Reagan.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any personal orders? Seeing none, we will begin our calendar. First on the agenda is House Bill 2801. Motion. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Sherrill, you are recognized to explain. First off, I'm showing you have an amendment traveling with the bill, drafting code of 14228. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We don't need to do anything with that in this committee. You are clear to begin your explanation, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and members. This bill, the amendments makes the corrections to the sunset date and the updates the new name for the advisory board. The legislation will amend outdated language within the existing statute related to the vocational rehabilitation services the department provides. Specifically, the phrase rehabilitation centers is replaced with the community-based vocational rehabilitation services to ensure that the statute language lines with the current delivery method utilized by the department's vocational rehabilitation program.
Members, you've heard an explanation. Representative Stewart, you're recognized.
I think this is clear from the explanation, but sir, it sounds like there's no intent, no legislative intent to reduce any services provided to anybody under this bill.
Sponsor, you're recognized.
Yes, sir, you're correct. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any further questions? Seeing none, we are voting on sending House Bill 2801 to Calendar and Rules. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Bill moves out to Calendar and Rules. Thank you, Mr. Sponsor.
Thank you, Chairman and members.
Next on the list is House Bill 2030 by Chairman Kiesling. Motion. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Kiesling, I am showing an amendment traveling with your bill, drafting code 15753. Is that correct, sir?
That's absolutely correct, sir.
The amendment already on the bill, no action required in this committee. Therefore, sir, you're clear to begin explanation of your bill.
Sure, absolutely. Currently, the TWRA receives 0.53, just over that, of the fuel assessment off the pumps located across and at our Tennessee marinas. This amendment will just simply change that percentage to 0.88 to reflect the growth that actually has occurred since 2017. Now, I might add, members, that again, let me stress that this difference in percentages, all this goes to the infrastructure at our marinas and the resorts along our docks along the across the state. So, with that, I'll entertain any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Members, you've heard an explanation of the bill. Do we have any questions of the sponsor? Chairman Lafferty, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I heard you right. Just wanted to double check. This is a tax. This is for the fuel sold at the marinas.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Sold down here off the interstate.
I think I failed to say that, Representative Lafferty or Chairman Lafferty. Yeah, that's from the pump, from the sale pumps at the marinas. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Follow up, sir.
Thank you. And intended to help maintain state-owned marinas, state-owned hotels, state-owned those sorts of services.
Well, again, this is that fund, the funds that's TWR. That this is going into their fund, and then they redistribute those funds. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Chairman.
We have any further questions of our sponsor? Seeing none, we are voting on sending. Oh, wait a minute. Do you have a question, sir? Do you have a question? Seeing none, we are voting on sending House Bill 2030 to Finance, Ways and Means. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Bill moves out to Finance, Ways and Means. Thank you,
Mr. Chairman. And if I may, if you would allow me to take just a moment, just a half a minute of personal privilege, I would request that we all continue to keep, those of you who may not be aware, Chairman Wendell's father passed away over the weekend, and let's please keep him in your thoughts and prayers, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and we certainly will. Committee members, next on our agenda, item number 3, House Bill 2849 by Chairman Kumar. We have a motion and second. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Kumar, I am showing an amendment traveling with your bill, drafting code 13746. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir, that is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Since it is already on the bill, no action required in this committee. You are cleared for explanation of your bill, sir.
Thank you. Amended House Bill 2849 allows, excuse me, the Board of Medical Examiners to issue short-term practice licenses to physicians from foreign countries who are here for short-term learning and training. This license does not exceed 90 days, and before qualification, it is confirmed that they did graduate from and get their medical degree from a recognized medical school, and they are here for professional development and training program, and they entered the United States lawfully. The credentials are verified, and then they're given a 90-day license to work under strict supervision as they are here for training purposes in the United States.
Members, you've heard an explanation. We have a question from Representative Stewart. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Sponsor, what prompts this? Our medical system has a very precise, as you know, since you went through it, mechanism for training doctors and putting them in the field. What is prompting this proposal?
You're recognized, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. United States is a leader in providing education because of the top quality of our science and medicine. And we do, Vanderbilt and other institutions, training institutions, do get these physicians who are here. A question came up that how much can they are working under supervision, how much can they do? And this came up legally, is it okay for them to be able to physically examine a patient? And then it was the will of the Board of Medical Examiners that they would need authority to be able to issue again, short-term 90-day licenses after the qualifications have been verified.
Follow up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it says that evidence is required of a host institutional or educational commission. Is this intent just to facilitate these visitors to our medical training institutions? Because what I would not want to happen is for people providing medical services in the state to simply start bringing in foreign doctors for 90-day stints to save money for financial reasons. I don't think we want to just open up our state to foreign trained doctors, because typically our training is much more, or certainly our training is more rigorous than that provided in many countries. How's this going to work practically?
You're recognized, sir.
Certainly, those bases are covered in the bill. They are not allowed to apply for regular residency training, and they work again under supervision in a recognized teaching institute. It's
Okay.
not that I can, in my private practice, bring in a fellow work with me for 90 days.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Any further questions? Seeing none, we're voting on sending House Bill 2849 to Finance, Ways, and Means. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Bill moves out to Finance, Ways, and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Item number 4 is going to be rolled to the heel of the calendar. Item number 5, House Bill 2712 by Chairman Howell. We have a motion and a second, sir. And I'm showing your bill is traveling with an amendment drafting code number 15942. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
No action required in this committee since it's already on the bill. Mr. Sponsor, you are clear to recognize, or pardon me, explain your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill is the result of the Joint Refugee Study Committee that was appointed following last year's session. The committee was appointed by the Speaker of the House and the Speaker of the Senate. Myself and Senator Dawn White were the co-chairs of that committee. And as a result of those hearings, this bill contains recommendations from the committee's report. It would put in place additional safeguards and reporting requirements for residential child care agencies. Those are agencies which place children in residential with families. They do not house children in a dormitory-style setting. So this, in conjunction with the Department of Children's Services, who is deferred on the bill, was drafted to make sure that we are looking after the welfare and safety of the children in Tennessee, and that's what the bill does. Be glad to take any questions.
Members, you've heard an explanation. Do we have questions of the sponsor? Question's been called on the bill. No objection. We are voting on House Bill 2712, going to calendar and rules. All in favor indicate by saying aye. All opposed, nay. If you wish to be recorded as a no, the bill goes out. See the clerk there. And item number 6 on our calendar is also by Chairman Howell, House Bill 2711. We have a motion and a second. And Chairman Howell, I show your bill traveling with an amendment drafting code 15436. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Also, I show that we have an amendment you wish to add. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
What
The code, I believe, is 16617. Is that what you have?
That's what I have, and I understand you're not running the drafting code 16519?
That is correct. This one supersedes that one.
Okay, this bill was untimely filed. You recognize, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that we consider the late filed amendment with the drafting code of 16617, sir.
We have a motion and a second. Without objection, amendment is added to the bill.
Nope.
I'm sorry. It's up for consideration. Thank you. Now, we have to have a vote to add it to the bill. Do I have a motion? Second? We have a motion and a second to add drafting code amendment 16617 to House Bill 2711. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The amendment is now on the bill. Mr. Sponsor, you are cleared to explain your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, addressing the amendment, it's clarifying language to bring us in line with federal standards. And what it does is just clarifies who will do the fingerprinting, the background checks for those agencies who will be applying for a license to look after these children in the what we call the NCCA, or the non-traditional child care agencies. This bill is not a part of the committee report, but it was drafted as a result of Senator White and myself collaborating with DCS in order to address sort of an anomaly that happened in Tennessee. Last summer, you may remember all the reports of unaccompanied alien children coming into Tennessee, and they were licensed by DCS, but this was a different type of child care agency. They were dormitory-style agencies, something that we have not seen in Tennessee, to my knowledge. And there were several hearings that we had brought to light a shocking lack of transparency on the part of the federal government. I would add there is still a shocking lack of transparency on the part of the federal government concerning the UCCAs. In response, this legislation creates a new category of child care agency called, and working with legal, I might add, called the Non-Traditional Child Care Agency. The other one was the RCCA. This is the NCCA that houses them in dormitories. This new NCCA will be specific in addressing those agencies, such as the one involved in the issues in Chattanooga that provide on-site housing. These children are not subject to the compacts, the interstate compacts, because they are under the jurisdiction of the federal government, not the state. And as a result, the feds do not and have not shared any info about the status of these children with the state of Tennessee. Federal law agrees with state law that the states are responsible for the welfare and safety of minor children within its borders, and this bill seeks to address the safety and concerns that DCS and the committee has for these young people. And they are young people. They are, I think the average age was 12 to 17 with the children. That we call them children, but they were young adults coming into Chattanooga. So this bill would then create a new category, the NCCAs. The state of Tennessee will be able to better ensure the safety of the children. It contains reporting requirements to ensure the DCS knows who is being brought into the state. A database will help ensure safeguards against child abuse by establishing a known record of the children served and the number of children served. It limits the number of children that can be housed in a dormitory-style facility to 25. The one in Chattanooga was licensed for 100, which experience has shown that that was way too many. And there is an ongoing investigation, I might add, which I won't comment on here. It creates a cause of action against a NCCA for a child, a cause of action for a child who may have been subject to abuse at a facility such as the one in Chattanooga. And I believe these safeguards are reasonable, and they'll help Tennessee to protect the children who find themselves in these situations in the future. And with that, I would urge passage.
Thank you. I have 2 members on my list. Representative Warner, you recognized?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Howe. Any idea how many of these children we have in the state of Tennessee?
You're recognized, Mr. Sponsor.
I wish I could answer that question, but because of the lack of transparency on the part of the federal government, we could only guess. There were several hundred that came in during this time period in the spring of last year. Where they are and where they went to at this point, we do not know, and that's why we're bringing this bill to try to help Tennessee get a handle on the welfare and safety of these children.
Follow up, sir.
Well, thank you for that, sir. And it's just, it really bothers me that we don't, the federal government hadn't done a better job of taking care of these children. Thank you.
Representative Stewart, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there an equivalent law currently on the books in any other state?
Mr. Sponsor.
Well, quite honestly, because of our situation, I wasn't really concerned about what other states had done. I'm concerned about protecting the children in Tennessee. I really don't know.
Follow up, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go out of session, just pose that same question to legal, and also understand the relationship between federal law and state law in this context.
Without objection, we are out of session. And Ms. Robertson, you have heard the question. Would you like to respond, please?
Katie Robertson, Office of Legal Services. I've not looked into other states and how they've addressed this issue.
Has our Attorney General weighed in on this? Has anybody weighed in? Typically, the relationship between the federal government and the state government is pretty well established in most areas of law. I'm just wondering, is that something that, it's not an area of law I know anything about. What's the story here? Does federal law cover this already, or does it give the states legal authority to do this? What is the issue? What's the legal framework? Do you know?
You're recognized.
Katie Robertson, Office of Legal Services. I'm unaware of any AG opinion as to this matter.
Representative Stewart, I believe the issue that you're talking about may be covered under a 1972 federal act, which was related to refugees, not illegal aliens or migrants.
And I guess my question, Mr. Chairman, I guess it's for legal, I guess the answer is we don't know. It would seem to me that the federal authority in this area would have been articulated by somebody. I'm just trying to figure out if we have any clues to what that is, because it seems odd to me and unusual for our state to be creating a new regulatory framework in an area that's typically a federal government area. There are certainly many areas where we can't do that.
Any other questions of legal? Seeing none, we're going back into session. We are back in session, and Representative Johnson, you have a question for the sponsor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my question is, you're saying that this is going to make it safer for the kids. I mean, Tennessee was responsible for those children, and certainly the state of Tennessee knew who they were. What I'm hearing from constituents is this really doesn't address the problem of how we keep children safer. Even in individual homes, kids can be abused. And so are you saying that just because we're not going to do larger facilities, they're going to be safer?
Mr. Sponsor, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We believe these safeguards are reasonable. We believe that they will help protect children who find themselves in these situations in the future. I believe experience has taught us that having 100 young adults from 12 to 17 in one dormitory-style facility with not enough adequate staff to take care of them, with subsequent criminal charges against some of those staff, and I understand the investigation is ongoing. I believe this is a reasonable response in cooperation with DCS and the Department of Legal Services to address that situation.
Follow-up, Representative Johnson.
Yes, just one follow-up. So it was inadequate staff. So the problem wasn't the numbers per se. It was they didn't have staff for the number of folks there.
Representative, pardon me, Mr. Sponsor.
That is not for me to say. That is what I was told by someone in the Chattanooga area. I can't put that on the record and say that's a fact.
Thank you very much. Do we have other questions of our sponsor? The question has been called. We're voting on House Bill 2711, going to Finance, Ways, and Means. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay.
No.
Ayes have it. Bill moves out to Finance, Ways, and Means.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
And, okay, the next item on the agenda is item number 7, House Bill 782. By me, I will pass the gavel to the Vice Chair. Vice Chair Reedy, you have the gavel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Littleton.
Could I have a moment of personal right now? Today is Representative Sherrill's birthday, so I think we all should give him a big hand on his birthday.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I know I was out of order.
And he has no better place to spend it than with us right now.
Well, what better place could there be?
There you go. Chairman Reagan, you are recognized on House Bill 1782. Members, can I get a motion and a second on that? Mr. Chairman, I'm showing we need to add an amendment, 16395. Would you like to do so at this time, sir?
Yes, please. I move the amendment to be added to the bill.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor of adding amendment number 16395 to House Bill 1782 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Amendment goes on. Chairman Reagan, you are recognized on the bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. This amendment extends the Consumer Advocate Division to 2024. It was added because a previous bill, which was addressing the Consumer Advocate Division, has been sent to summer study by the Senate and therefore is inoperative. And for that reason, this is just extending them to a reasonable year. With that explanation, I stand ready to answer questions.
Questions for the chairman on his bill? Seeing none. All in favor of moving House Bill 1782 out to calendar rules signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Nay. Bill moves out. Chairman Reagan, the meeting is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. And I see the sponsor of the item that we were going to take up is not yet here. Therefore, that will be rolled to the next calendar. Do we have any other? I'm sorry. House Bill 2312 is rolled to the next calendar. Thank you. Do we have any other business to come before our committee? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Non-debatable. We're adjourned.